everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the 7-day stretch challenge. I hope you got on all right yesterday with the trapezius stretches that I gave. Thanks to everyone who sent in their comments. Today we're going to sort of continue a similar theme by focusing on the upper body as well. So the first muscle that we're going to focus on is the deltoid muscle. Now the deltoid is split into 3 different sort of portions, if you like. So it essentially spans the sort of upper arm / shoulder. So you've got your anterior deltoid at the front, you've got your intermediate or middle deltoid, and then you've got your posterior deltoid at the back. And it's the posterior fibres that we're going to focus on. Now, this is quite similar to what I was talking about yesterday with the traps, because of course when we have this sort of kyphotic posture when sitting at our desks all day, this puts a lot of lengthening strain through our trapezius muscles and our rhomboids, which causes a lot of knots and adhesions to form. But likewise, it's also the case for the posterior deltoid. So we're going to do a more specific stretch to target that now. So this is quite an easy stretch really. So literally all you're going to do is you're just going to bring your arm out in front of you. This is the arm that you want to stretch, and then you're going to wrap your other arm around and then just pull across your body like so. And you should be able to feel it sort of down in that posterior deltoid, but also probably into the triceps as well. So the triceps is a good area to stretch out quite regularly, particularly if you lift a lot of weights or you do a lot of throwing, because it's the triceps in the throws which are essentially the powerhouse, not really the biceps, because if you're throwing, your biceps don't really do an awful lot. It's more sort of into that tricep muscle. So essentially it's going to be good for a lot of sporting people as well. Okay, so as I mentioned before, we don't want the stretch to be painful. We want it to be uncomfortable potentially, so that we're getting a nice stretch. But obviously if it gets to that threshold where it starts to become painful, then obviously just ease off. Also, because this is a static hold, we want to hold for at least 60 seconds. Now, an adaptation to this stretch is that if you bend the elbow on the arm that you're going to stretch, you might feel a slight increase in intensity into that posterior deltoid. Okay, so stage 1 is elbow straight, stage 2, elbow bent, put your hand on the back of your opposite shoulder. Okay, and then obviously you'll do the same for the other side as well. Now, the other area that I wanted to focus on today as well is going further down our arm. Okay, so we're going to be looking at our wrist flexor muscles and our wrist extensor muscles. Now, these often get tight again if you're doing a lot of sort of heavy lifting and sporting movements, etc. But also sitting at your office desk, because a lot of you have probably experienced in the past an RSI, a repetitive strain injury, which is essentially an injury to these muscles in the forearm. Okay, so first of all we're going to start off with a stretch on the wrist flexor muscles. So you can do this just on a table, or you can just get down on the floor onto your exercise mat. Doesn't really make any difference, okay? But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to put your hands on the mat, and essentially you're going to try and have your fingers facing this way towards your body like so. Now if you are quite tight, you might want to move the rest of your body forward so you've got less of a wrist flexion like so. So if you move forwards, you've got less wrist flexion than if you sort of move backwards like this, okay? And again, we're just going to hold this stretch for at least a minute. Okay, so that's quite a nice one just to release that area off. But then of course, if we come gently out of that, we can do our wrist extensor muscles, so the ones that sort of do that movement as well. Okay, and it's essentially just the opposite movement. Okay, so instead of having your hands palm down, you're going to have your hands palm up this time, okay? And then to intensify the stretch, instead of going forwards, you're going to come backwards, like so, and you should feel an intensity there. And you can do this either just single arm or double arm, doesn't really matter. But if you find that a bit awkward, another good one to do is just to pull the hand back like so, and you can also do it with the wrist flexor potentially as well. Okay, so there's lots of options there for you. Okay, so there are your stretches for today. Again, like and comment, let me know how you get on. It'll be good if we can really start sharing this throughout our local community, try and do something positive, get people involved, encourage people to do a bit of activity during this lockdown. So take care, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 4.